the way my collection started, as you've seen some of my rooms, you've seen some of the places that I lived, and no other woman for me. I have to assume no other guy for her than me. The way it started was I was 12 years old, and I don't want to hurt Sunday. It was WrestleMania 10, and they had a fan fest. They had a fan fest. And they had a glass case full of Hasbros. Now, Hasbros are very attractive because they're not that articulate compared to today's figures, but they had little moves, little arm jerks, little spring action, and they were very physically attractive, appealing as far as the drawings, the colors, the paint jobs, everything. So when they were advertising the Fan Fest and they said you could pick out a Hasbro toy, there was this big glass case. Back then, I didn't go to meet and greets because my uncle thought they were a waste of time. You know, you're paying essentially your money that you could buy and watch a wrestling match just to get a wrestler's signature on a piece of paper. So, yeah, so you know, I remember that advertisement, that brief couple of minutes where they showed off the Hasbro booth at the Fan Fest. And it really made me feel good that I said that, I want to start collecting them. I already had a couple. I already had the ring from what my aunt had. When my aunt lived in an apartment in Bay Ridge right before she got married, there was a place where you could get Hasbros very cheap. And she got me the ring. She got me a couple figures. And that was it. But I was very heavy into video games at that time, 10, 11 years old. But at the age of 12, I decided to, invest in these toys. And I had a bunch of them. Then it started with WCW, old San Francisco toy makers. Then it started with bootleg WWF figures. Then it started with just the 99-cent store figures. I didn't care because they had the belts. Then it went on to Jakks Pacific. Then it went on to Toy Biz. Now it's on to Mattel. So I love figures. Everywhere I go, I look for figures. Comic book stores, 99-cent stores, convenience stores. And I actually found name brands in 99-cent store. A year ago, I found the Mandy Rose at a Telco. And then you got some of my childhood stuff like the He-Man, Ninja Turtles, and also wrestling's been around since I was a child because kindergarten I had a Hulk Rock and Wrestling book bag, but I wasn't into wrestling like that. I liked the cartoon and I liked Hulk Hogan, but I didn't like wrestling. But at 11 years old, my love for wrestling started. I think my last couple years, or last year in elementary, that's when the love for wrestling started. So, you know, that's the best toys I ever had. I never finished the He-Man collection. I never got the accessory. Never got Castle Grayskull. Never got the Thundercats Lair. Never got none of that, but I sure as hell completed my wrestling collection. Now I'm actually getting them signed. I met every wrestler there is from the 80s and the 90s. Now, well, not everybody, but for the most important part, the main eventers. For the minus the fact that Macho Man died, Mr. Perfect died, Yokozuna died, Andre the Giant died right when I was getting into wrestling. And Roddy Piper, Mr. Perfect, and Macho Man, as I said. But rather than that, I met everybody. Ultimate Warrior, I never met. Steve Austin, I never met, but I recently got a figure signed by him for me. And I got a autograph of The Rock signed to me from him when he was in the Nation. When my uncle used to work at a strip club as a valet, they said Rocky almost signed his sleeve. He used to like the alcohol a lot, but Rock's been known to say that he was a partier. You know, I've been a part of so many different stores that would save a fresh case for me and let me pick what I wanted. Now, you know, everywhere that people knew me or a cart outside the mall, wherever, I made sure that, you know, I made myself very known in those places because I love figures. There was a guy one time that I was in GameStop, and I do the same thing with video games. He goes, "Girl, I'm at my candy store." Well, that's how I feel when I'm in a collector store. That is my candy store. And nowadays, I do things with Tommy Unger, the big event. Then I do things at Astoria, Queens, at Flushing, at Francis Lewis, a well-known place called the Wrestling Universe, and they donate a couple things to me, as you can see. Wait, in the back here. Yeah, some of that stuff is from them. Most of it is from what I collected when I was in the nursing home rehab, and you know, the rest of it is as I'm going along when I go to the conventions or a store signing at the Wrestling Universe. I'll pick up a figure, but I really haven't been collecting like that. I'll just get pieces to get signed, and the rest was given to me by my friend Joe Matthews. I personally have moved a lot. First of all, you know, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I stayed in my childhood home till I was 29 years old, 11 years ago. And we also bought another family house that's on the other side of the island, Tottenville, which is the Tides, which has videos on this channel also. But I wanted to be independent. And when I was in the nursing home rehab, I asked them for my own apartment. It was a struggle. I was disrespected and I was looked down upon. But somehow, by the grace of God, I made it. And even though I can't have pieces that I used to have in my house, I try to pick up duplicates and make it feel like it's a home. And despite my small space, I still want to be able to collect and do everything. So, thank you, Joe Matthews. Thank you, everybody who's helped me along the way. I love wrestling. I love wrestling figures. I love memorabilia. And, now since I met everybody, once I met Hogan, that was it for me. Hogan, Goldberg, and everybody, because I basically met everybody else. There's very few people from the 80s and 90s that I haven't met. So, now it's just a thing where I'm just getting stuff to get signed and enjoy the memories and show them off when I'm an old man and hang them up on my wall and make like a little makeshift mini museum. So anyway, I love you guys. Take care. I'm Chris Neves. And now you know what the deal is. Peace. And also stuff like with He-Man, Thundercats, my Britney Spears memorabilia, baseball stuff, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, Also, I'm building that up too. I'm not really a sports guy, but being from New York, even though you don't watch baseball, you could kind of appreciate it. I played it though. I was a wheelchair Met, and I did a couple World Series in the parking lot, and it was pretty cool. But I always had a respect for baseball, being a New Yorker, even though I didn't watch it, and sometimes it brought me to tears. I'd rather play than watch.